Well, good morning everybody. Welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday the 1st of July and we're into the second half of 2022. As always, we've got plenty to get through this week. There's quite a lot of sporting events over the weekend and coming in next week, so we'll come on to those in a moment. But as we usually do at this time of the year, we'll start by talking about cricket, and we'll start with the Halifax Cricket League roundup from last weekend and looking forward to this weekend's games in the Premier Division. So quickly looking back to last weekend's results, and we'll start with Bradshaw. Bradshaw unfortunately came out on the wrong end of the reduced overs Duckworth Lewis type result with Copley, who were beaten by 5 wickets. Bradshaw scored 235 for 6 batting first. Mickey Hustler scored a 100 unbeaten, so a great century for him. Ollie Thorpe doing the damage with the ball for Copley, took 4 for 64. So that seemed like a reasonable score, but the weather intervened and Copley's revised target was 227 and they reached it with 5 wickets down. They got 228 for 5, and Gav Whip, he was a man for Copley with the bat. He scored 107 not out. Great innings there, backed up ably by Ollie Thorpe. He scored 40. Wily veteran Simon Collins did his best to try and rein in Copley. He took 4 for 53, including a wicket of Ollie Thorpe. So he put up his best effort there, but unfortunately it wasn't quite enough, and Copley went away with a majority of the points and stayed top of the league. Unfortunately means Bradshaw dropped down a couple of places because of the other results, which we'll come on to in a moment. Sawbury Bridge, unfortunately, were beaten by Great Horton Park Chapel. They lost by 2 wickets. Batting first, Sawbury Bridge amassed just 133 all out. Jake Dixon pulling the innings round towards the end. He batted, I think, at number 10. He scored 52 not out after the team were 22 for 6. A massive collapse at the top end of the order. I think Tom Belfield got 9. He was the only one that got anywhere near double figures until the latter end of the innings. So not a great batting performance by Sawbury Bridge. And it was Marshall Grieve with 4 for 35. I think Dominic Anderson took 3 for 37 as well. So they're the 2 men that took most of the wickets. Great Horton Park Chapel knocked off the runs, but lost 8 wickets, 135 for 8, and it was opener, skipper, wicket keeper Brownie, Chris Brown. He was the main man. He got 44 runs. Sam Miller did his best with the ball for Sawbury Bridge. He took 4 for 46, trying to keep them in the game. There wasn't a lot in it, but he just managed to do enough to get home after the decent start that Brownie made for them. So well done to GHPC there. They did well to win that game. Okay, moving on now. Booth beat Ludden Foot by 50 runs. Booth, batting first, scored 237 for 9. And it was Richard Laycock with 81 not out and Jared Moore with 57. They were the main contributors with the bat. With the ball, Isaac Baldwin took 4 for 54 for Ludden Foot. When it came round to batting, Ludden Foot managed 187 all out. They fell quite a way short, really. James Stott was the top scorer. He scored 41. But Patrick Thomas and Nigel Horsfall took 3 wickets each for Booth to see them home fairly comfortably, like I say. Thomsen beat SBCI in a tight game. They won by 7 runs. Thomsen bat first. They scored 162 all out. This game seemed to tended to favour the bowlers. Josh Hutchinson kept up his good form. He scored 53 for Thomsen. He was the top scorer. And it was Ollie Benson and Lewis Firth with 3 wickets each for SBCI to try and keep them in the game. When it came to batting, SBCI just fell short, like I say, 7 runs, 155 all out. Alex Schofield and Simon Wood both scored 42. The captain Simon there contributing well with the bat. And it was Greg Soames who took 3 for 31, who basically helped Thornton over the line in this one. Elsewhere, Illingworth beat Triangle by 80 runs. Convincing victory here for Illingworth. And Matty Smith kept up his good season. 271 for 7 was the score, but masked by Illingworth. And Matty scored 119 not out. Curtis Whippy took 3 for 70 for Triangle. Triangle battered. They were all out for 191, so falling well short here. Ed Denham, the wicketkeeper, scored 66. He was the main man holding the innings together for Triangle. And again, Matty Smith started with the ball too. He took 5 for 84. So he's had a good all-round game again there. It seems to be that I'm mentioning certain players every week. Matty Smith and Ollie Thorpe are 2 of the ones that spring to mind. But yeah, there's quite a few players having good seasons here. And in the final game of last week's round of matches, Mythen Royd beat Worley by 5 wickets. Worley batting first, 143 all out. Connor Mitchell was the top scorer. He scored 41. We started innings fairly well, then was a middle order collapse, but then unfortunately for Connor he was run out, and that was possibly vital in the end. It left him well short of where he probably needed to be. Myvenroyd battered, we scored 147 for 5, so knocking off the target fairly easily really. Liam Sutcliffe got 30 not out, Jack Earl also scored 30. Basically every batsman scored a few runs each and they saw them over the line fairly comfortably, so a good result there for Myvenroyd and getting the season back on track to some degree. Okay, so looking ahead to tomorrow's games, Bradshaw face Booth at home, Copley are at home to Worley, Great Horton Park Chapel at home to Myvenroyd, Illingworth are at home to SBCI, Ludfoot are at home to Triangle, and Thomsen are at home to Sorby Bridge. So again, let's hope the weather plays nicely. The only game that was affected really by the rain seemed to be the Copley game last weekend, so hopefully it won't interfere this weekend. You never know, it's a bit up and down, but it's been generally good throughout the season, so there's not been too many affected games thankfully. So let's hope we're okay for tomorrow. Sticking with cricket, but moving to the international game, England completed a 3-0 whitewash over New Zealand earlier in the week, with Johnny Bairstow again contributing with 71 from 44 to see England home by 7 wickets, sitting alongside Joe Root. I think got 86, something like that, not out. Jack Leach got the man of the match. He took 10 wickets for the first time, I think, I don't know if it's in his career, but certainly in England. It might have been his first 5 wicket all England, but he took 5 wickets in each innings. So he was the man of the match. Bairstow scored 162 in the first innings as well, when him and Jamie Overton pulled off an amazing feat, pulling the score round from England. We were 55 for 6, and he pulled it round to, I think it was something like 297 for 6 before Overton was out for 97. Disappointing that he fell short of his century in his debut, but he'll be very proud of what he achieved. He should be. Unfortunately, he's been dropped for the next game. The one Test match, which is the 5th Test from last year's series against India, starts this morning actually at Edgbaston. Jimmy Anderson's back in the team, and Jamie's been left out. Ben Foakes missed half the last game because he went down with COVID during the match. He was replaced substituted by Sam Billings. I believe he's playing in today's match. So Foakes misses out alongside both Overtons and Harry Brooks, the other player who misses out. Zach Crawley's given him a chance. Stokes, the captain, has said that he will be given as many chances as possible to prove what his ability level is. They've got great trust in his future, so we'll see what happens with him there. Won't be an easy match against India. India are a great team. Jasprit Bumrah's captain in Indian side because Rohit Sharma's come down with COVID as well. He's a normal captain, so it should be an interesting match. I can't remember I think India are 2-1 ahead in the series, but I can't remember. So England can get a draw at the series. Obviously, there's a World Test Championship points at stake as well. So England will want to win and keep up the winning start under Stokes. Done really well. McKillum have put an attacking line-up together so far. They've played in an attacking way, and hopefully that continues in this game today. So we'll give you an update on that next weekend when it'll all be over. Okay, and then before we move away from cricket, the last thing I want to talk about is a T20 Blast, because Yorkshire have got 2 games left in the qualifying matches. They've got one tonight. They're at home to Birmingham Bears. And then they've got one away to Leicestershire on Sunday afternoon. We need to win one of these 2 basically to get through to the quarter-finals. And the quarter-finals, I believe, are next weekend because the finals are the week after, because they're rushing it through to get it out of the way before the 100 starts. Don't particularly agree with that, but we'll go into that here. But good luck to Yorkshire. If you can win one of those games, it'd be great. Okay, so moving away from cricket now, we're going to talk about football. And FC Halifax Town have made another signing this week. They've signed Jamie Stott, a left-footed centre-back from Stockport. Essentially, he should be the replacement for Tom Bradbury, who's gone to Cheltenham. So we'll see how that pans out over the season. Also, just want to say good luck to Jerry McDonough, who's left Halifax. He's gone to sign for Scottish Championship side Cove Rangers. So the best of luck to Jerry up there in Scotland. Also, sticking with the subject of football, the Women's Euros start next Wednesday. England play Austria in their opening game. They won the final warm-up game last night away to Switzerland by 4-0. Hopefully the players will all be fit by then. There's been some question marks about whether Leah Williamson's going to be playing, what position she's going to play, which is going to be included at all. Ellen White's been out, which is back now. Also, we've had an injury or illness for Lucy Bronze, so hopefully all the squad will be fit for that first game. The other 2 teams in the group are Norway and Northern Ireland, so good luck also to Northern Ireland, and good luck to Becky Flaherty, the Brighouse Town ladies goalkeeper. She's normally the reserve goalkeeper for Northern Ireland. She played in the last game because her first choice goalkeeper got sent off. Maybe she'll get a chance in the Euro, so she does. All the best to Becky, and I hope Northern Ireland can go through with England to the next round. and we'll bring you up to date again on what's happened in the first couple of games, because England playing the first game of the tournament, Northern Ireland play the second game of the tournament, then Wednesday and Thursday next week, so we'll update you on that. Elsewhere, we'd just like to say, but I mentioned going back to FC Halifax Town in some degree, is that the Conference National fixtures are announced next Wednesday, so we'll be looking to see where Halifax are on the first day of the season, where they're playing at Christmas, last day of the season, bank holidays, and we'll give you some info on that as well next Friday. Hopefully it should all be done and dusted by then, so yeah, we'll tell you all about that as well. Okay, so next on the list for this week, we'll talk about Wimbledon. Wimbledon's well underway now. The favourites in the men's tournament, Djokovic and Nadal, both going through fairly easily. Well, especially Djokovic has had serene progress so far. Rafa Nadal lost a set yesterday against Ricardo Berankis, but he's still a fairly comfortable winner. So they're both going on nicely. In the women's tournament, Iga Swiatek won her 37th match in a row yesterday, and if she can win another one, it'll be the longest winning run since Steffi Graf. 32 years ago, she had a 66 match winning run between 1989 and 1990. Iga's equal with Martina Hingis on 37 at the moment, which she achieved, I think it was something like 97, so that's 25 years ago in itself. Quite a good record, but Iga's grass court game isn't as strong as it is elsewhere, so whether she can get through the next round, we'll see. There's some tough opponents coming up for her. A lot of people fancy Petra Kvitova to win the tournament altogether, and won at Eastbourne, so yeah, we'll see how that goes in the next few days or so. In terms of the British players, unfortunately Emma Raducanu and Andy Murray both exited in the second round. Tough match for Andy Murray. I watched most of that one against John Isner, who's a really good striker of the ball. He's a fantastic server. I found it tough, put up a good fight, but it just wasn't quite enough. But I saw an interview with Andy afterwards, and he was saying that he's hoping to get a few more wins on the board to get himself in a situation where he gets seeded, to get his ranking up so he can be seeded instead of being a wild card or unseeded, because it makes the draws harder for the players earlier in the tournament when they're playing, when they're a good quality player like Murray is, but he's playing top seeded players in the early parts of the tournament. So yeah, he says he's not sure exactly where he's going to go next, but he's like hoping to be in a situation where he can be seeded for either the US Open, or if not for that, for the Australian Open at the start of the next year. So good luck to him in that quest. Elsewhere, we've got Cameron Norris still in the competition. He's into the third round. I think he's playing today actually. And Liam Brody beat Diego Schwartzman 3-1 yesterday, so that was a good result for him. In the ladies competition, Katie Bolter got through yesterday. It was a good result for her. She beat Karolina Pliskova. And then we've got Heather Watson. She's through to the third round as well. So I think they're both again playing. Heather's definitely playing today. So they're through. Other two British players to mention yesterday. Harriet Dart was knocked out, and so was Jack Draper, who put up a good fight in his match. A little bit unlucky there. He won the first set, but ended up losing 3-1 to Alex de Minaur, who actually is Katie Bolter's partner, which I didn't find out till this morning. So indirectly, one of the British players has knocked one of the other British players out. That's unfortunate, but that's the way sport goes. So yeah, we'll keep you up to date with the progress of Wimbledon next Friday, and we'll get to the point where we'll do the semi-finalists, and we'll know the women's finalists by that point, I believe. So we'll talk about that next Friday. Moving away from tennis now to stock cars. Last weekend saw the British Championship take place at Odsal Stadium in Bradford, and I've got to say Ryan Harrison successfully defended his British title with a fairly comfortable victory in the end in the final. I think a lot of people expected Tom Harris to win it, with him starting the final on pole position, but he got involved in a bit of a tangle with Jelle Tesla, the Dutch driver, and he put him in quite hard to the fence. It seemed to do something to his car. It damaged him, slowed him down a bit, and he finished fourth in the end up. So comfortable win for Ryan. Matt Newsom was second, some distance behind, and Frankie Wayman Jr. was third. This weekend, and that's what, so before I move on, it was a really good meeting. The weather played its part, raining, and it was dusty later on, but the racing was really good. The track's in really good condition under the new promoter, doing a great job. So good luck to the guys, Russell and Graham. They're doing a really good job. This weekend's meeting is a standard meeting really at Kings Lynn. I had 38 cars booked tomorrow, and we'll let you know how that goes as well next weekend. Next Friday when we're back with a podcast. Moving on now, Speedway. Anders Thomsen won the Speedway Grand Prix Round 5 in Gorzów in Poland last weekend. I think most people might have seen who follow Speedway, probably seen the Instagram post and the video of him riding around his underpants after to celebrate his victory. Good performance in this Grand Prix also by Dan Bewley and Robert Lambert, both reached the semi-finals, finishing third. Dan was particularly unlucky in his semi-final, just got caught in the wrong position on the track, probably deserved to get through. He scored 12 points in qualifying. He's looking really good. He's only in the reserve and he's done really well this season, and I'd like to think he might even make the top six. Ty was a little bit disappointing, Ty Wolfman, and he had one good ride at the end, but he doesn't seem to be quite on it this season so far. But there's plenty of time to go yet. We've got a big break now till the next round, which is in Cardiff on the 13th of August. The World Cup's later this month, and we'll talk about that nearer the time, but there's a break from the Grand Prix until then. Elsewhere in the domestic speedway, Edinburgh have announced that they've got a new stadium. I think it's called the West Lothian Stadium. That should be up and running by the start of next season. That's what they're saying anyway. So that'll replace Armadale. So I'm glad to see that some positive news for British Speedway after the loss of their previous stadium, the loss of Newcastle, rumours about Birmingham not being able to carry on, and also the developments at Peterborough. I mean, they may have to move out as well. So yeah, we'll keep you posted on what's happening with all those changes as well. But some of those works are good, but some good positive news about Edinburgh, so I'm really pleased about that. I think most Speedway fans will be as well. I believe Sheffield are at the top of the table. Now, I didn't look at last night's results actually for Speedway if there were any meetings last night, but Sheffield beat Ipswich on Monday, so that put them to the top. I won't go into the details of the sort of like the ending of the meeting, which wasn't satisfactory at all when the curfew was put in place, but Sheffield won, and I believe they're top of the table now. Wolverhampton up there as well because they beat Peterborough convincingly at home as well, so good results for Sheffield and Wolverhampton. Next it's Rugby League, and last weekend I forgot to mention this game. I'd mentioned it previously, but I forgot that Halifax were at Barrow on Monday night, and they come away with a very convincing victory under some strange circumstances really. I've watched a little bit of on Premier Sports, I've still got the rest of it to watch, but they beat Barrow by 43 points to 18. They played the last half an hour of the match with 11 men after a grapple tackle by one of the Barrow players led to a penalty, but also led to a massive brawl which saw Greg Worthington and Gwazi sent off for Halifax. So they played the last 30 minutes with 2 men down. Barrow player got sentenced to a sin bin for 10 minutes, but obviously had a big advantage, but it seemed to spur Halifax on even more. I believe they were winning 24-12 or 24-18 at that point, but they actually scored 3 more converted tries after they were reduced to 11 men. And he also, for good measure, I think Joe Keys dropped a goal to make it 43-18 near the end. So convincing victory under some difficult circumstances really. They've got, I think they're still 5th in the table because all the teams at the top seem to keep winning. Batley had a good result actually against Featherstone. They beat them last weekend, so that's a bit of a surprise. Lee kept their run of good wins up. I think they won 58 points to 4 at Sheffield, and they look like they're going to be unassailable victors. Halifax have won, I think, 10 out of the last 11 league games now, or something like that. They've got Dewsbury away on Sunday. They'll be fairly confident of winning that one as well, I would think. So they're in a really good run of form at the moment, and they'll be hoping to move up the table. But you know, the game Halifax lost, like I mentioned at the time, was they lost to Lee 36-0 away. They've won every other game, but they got battered by Lee. It just shows how much better Lee are. And whether that's right and it's an imbalance in the way they play, because they were in the Super League, the imbalance to the fact they can afford better players, or I don't know. They seem to attract. It makes you wonder what's going on with payments and things like that. But again, we shouldn't really go into that. But it is a bit weird how we're so much better than everybody else. Even Featherstone, who have normally been up there challenging as well, but they've seemed to be like faltering a little bit now as well. So yeah. Anyway, enough of that. And just finally to mention something else I would normally have forgotten to mention. I think this weekend it's the Formula 1 British Grand Prix motor racing at Silverstone. Obviously the fans will be behind Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris and George Russell, so good luck to the British drivers on Sunday. Whether Max Verstappen can keep his run of victories going at the top of the table, we'll see, but it should promise us to be a great occasion, as it always seems to be. And again, we'll update you on the outcome of that in next week's podcast. I think that's just about it at the moment. I don't think there's anything I want to mention about golf particularly, and we've got the British Opens coming up. We've got the people joining Live still. Brooks Koepka was the one who was things to mind most recently. He was after saying he wouldn't join it, he has done. I think it's a Scottish Open next week at golf, so if you do follow golf, you can keep your eye on that. But I think that's just about all I want to cover this week. Apologies if I've missed anything. If I have, let me know in the comments below on YouTube. Don't forget to share and subscribe and like the videos. The more support the better. You know, it makes it more worthwhile for me. I hope you still enjoy watching them all. And until next week, that's all for me. Have a good week, and until then, goodbye.